Hey guys, and welcome to Brad's thoughts on Doctor Who. Basically, now I'm just gonna do each arc as I go through the seasons. That way, hopefully, that'll help me out with the end of season retrospectives. Today's subject is from season 5, the Tomb of the Cybermen. I don't think that's legible, but whatever. But basically, the first 4 episodes of season 5. I thought it was interesting. And probably a contender for my favorite arc for season 5. I would bet. Basically, it starts on another planet. Either the planet is called Telos or the city is called Telos. I'm not exactly sure, but basically, this place called Telos is where the Cybermen were apparently buried, in some kind of tomb. So it's kind of like a callback to ancient Egypt. Go figure. But the Doctor and crew stumble across an archaeological group that are exploring this and trying to open the tomb and find the Cybermen and, learn what they can about them because, history and such. Because at this point, apparently the Cybermen have been gone for about 500 years. And, in the course of the search, things don't go as well. Partly due to, humans not working together because of greed and lust for power and such, and it's a good, interesting arc. Like, in some regards, it feels like one of those old 50s B movies, and I think that's cool and interesting. The villains, they did a good job, and they made us, the viewers, really dislike them with their stupidity and their arrogance. And they do get their comeuppance, thank God. So I was literally watching the episode, and I was saying, come on, take them out, because they're idiots. And, yeah. It was a good introduction for Victoria, though she was kind of thrown into the deep end, I would say. And honestly, they had a little, Victoria and the Doctor had a little heart-to-heart, during the episode, and I recorded that. Basically just talking about her father, who was unfortunately killed in the last arc, and how memories work. That when you focus on things, that they come straight to your mind, but they can also lay dormant, until you need to think about them. The thing that specifically came up was family, and I thought that was interesting and a nice little speech that he had. Though he did note that memories do fade because we have so many other things to remember and focus on, which was kind of tragic, but I get what he's saying. And I thought it was a good little speech. And some nice character development for the Doctor. Showing that, yes, he's kind of a goofball at times, but he's also cunning and clever, and I really like Mr. Troughton so far as the Doctor. So, with all that said, definitely recommend Tomb of the Cybermen, because it has the Cybermen, a long-term bad guy for the Doctor, and it was just an interesting arc. So, anyway, hope you like that recommendation. Hope you watch Season 5, and all the episodes do exist on Daily Motion. I found them. I can put up links and stuff if you want to see them later. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my thoughts on Doctor Who Season 5. The second arc, The Abominable Snowmen. Basically, a quick synopsis for the arc is that the Doctor and crew end up in the Himalayas, according to Wikipedia, in the 1930s. After looking out through I forget what they call it, but basically, they have a video screen to see the environment around them. Doctor recognizes the Himalayas, and immediately goes to a chest, and looks through different artifacts, trying to find something specific. Eventually, he does produce a bell, an artifact that he was given when he last visited this place, roughly 300 years ago, I guess. And he wants to return it. So he's expecting, a nice, friendly, warm reception. Unfortunately, the Doctor sets out to the monastery to meet with the monks. And, yeah, there's some trouble apparently up in the mountains. He's confronted by a gentleman named Travers, who's apparently on some sort of expedition to find the Yetis, or the abominable snowmen. And unfortunately, there have been some reports of, like, the Yetis attacking people, attacking the monastery, and a gentleman that was on the expedition with Mr. Travers, unfortunately, was killed the night before. So now the Doctor has to, work with the monks, Mr. Travers, as well as Jamie and Victoria, and figure out why are the Yetis attacking people, and what can we do to stop this? And, I think it's an interesting arc. Really quick, I want to establish that, unfortunately, this is one of the arcs that was lost to time. So thanks to Doctor Who Recons, on YouTube and I believe Daily Motion, if I got that right, they do computer-generated reconstructions of the episodes. So the first episode of this arc was there, but the rest of the episodes, they made themselves. Because in my experience so far, just YouTubing, Googling these, you have Doctor Who Recons, and you have other people who have stills, with the audio spliced in, as well as different captions for, like, this character, walks across to the throne, or this character exits the room, etc. And I think Doctor Who Recons is definitely a positive. Thank you guys for doing that. Keep up the excellent work. And, yeah. But, in my opinion, I didn't care as much for the arc, unfortunately. Like, I think it's pretty skippable. They do have good acting. We do get some character growth from Jamie and Victoria. My takeaways from this: Jamie seems to care a good deal about Victoria, which is, kind of nice. Like, I don't think we've really had, like, the love interest thing for companions so far, besides maybe Ian and Barbara. But, like, I don't know. I think that's cool and interesting. It shows some character growth. And we get some moments where we see Jamie and Victoria are definitely more intelligent and observant. And I think that's cool also. Victoria, I feel like, is a bit bullheaded and stubborn at times. Like, in the very beginning, the Doctor's like, I need you and Jamie to stay here. And of course, her first reaction is, I want to go outside. I don't care what the Doctor said. Like everybody does. Of course, it's basically just a driving plot point. And it's not bad. But, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating. Like, you got transported to this new place, and, hey, I'm not going to listen to this guy at all. It's like, come on. So, I would make a good companion in that I would listen, but I would make a bad companion because the adventure would be very boring. Or the Doctor would get captured, and, I'd still be there about a week later, like, where's the Doctor? But, like I said, I didn't care as much for the Abominable Snowmen, unfortunately. But I think it's a good arc. Like, I think it's a fine arc. I don't know. Like, some people might like it more than I did. I think it was meh at best. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It's just there. We have some character growth. And that's about it. And we get to come across a new alien enemy known as the Great Intelligence. So that's cool. I quickly looked through the Wikipedia article, and I didn't see, like, any references to the Great Intelligence really coming back, besides, I think, another appearance this season, and that's about it. So, if you're looking at long term, easily skippable. If you're looking for stuff for the second Doctor, unfortunately, I still have to say skippable. But, if you're hardcore and you want to watch everything, it exists. It's an interesting little arc, and, Doctor Who Recons has done a reconstruction of it, so there is at least some animation to it. Otherwise, you're stuck with still images and audio, so take from that what you will. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Doctor Who Season 5 Arcs retrospective for the Ice Warriors. This is the third arc in the season, 6 episodes, and first off, overall, I want to say I thought it was an enjoyable, interesting little arc. Basically, the story is the Doctor and crew end up on Earth sometime in the future. Basically, it seems like the Earth's climate has seriously changed, and they are in a base, I believe, in the Antarctic, roughly. that has to use a device called the ionizer to help maintain the position of the glaciers. Otherwise, the world will be overtaken and things will just go horribly. A crew working in the area, is studying glaciers, looking at things, when they find a mysterious, body person inside the ice. They bring it back to thaw and look at it and study, but unfortunately this is not a friendly person. This is one of the ice warriors. Basically part of an alien race who came to Earth from Mars many years ago that were trapped in the ice, unfortunately. And now the Doctor and crew must find a way to deal with the ice warriors while also trying to maintain working the ionizer so that the glaciers don't destroy everything. The problem is the ice warriors ship is actually frozen in the glacier also, and there's no way to really tell what the ionizer is going to do. Like, if you turn it up full blast, it could potentially hurt the ship, it could destroy the engine, and then there could be like nuclear radiation or something going on. And that would be very bad. And it's just interesting seeing some of the little story elements that come into this. Like, the leader of the station is a man named Clint. Basically, he's been a leader for some time. Unfortunately, recently he's had some rough events occur due to his leadership. So he's doubting himself, and one of the big things that he can turn to is the supercomputer of the base that tells him, like, oh, hey, like, I've looked at everything impartially, I can tell you what to do, and yeah. But, that definitely brings up a big thing of, do you trust your gut instinct, or do you trust, the impartial computer? And there is definitely some nature versus science in here, and I like that, and I thought that was interesting. The Ice Warriors themselves, honestly, it's pretty much just a reskin of the Cybermen, I would say, unfortunately. But, the conflict with the Doctor and the station crew and all that, I thought was interesting and engaging enough. And, again, not to bash on the abominable snowmen, but I felt like this was a good, interesting, engaging arc. So hopefully the next arc, which is the enemy of the world, is another interesting arc that I enjoy. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Doctor Who Wednesday summary for the enemy of the world from Season 5 of Doctor Who. Basically, the story for this arc is there is a gentleman known as Salamander. I honestly don't know why this character has that name, but anyway, there's a gentleman known as Salamander who has helped develop some technology for the world, oddly enough, in the year 2018, the current year that I'm recording this, to help harness sunlight energy to help increase crop growth and, do other positive things. Unfortunately, there's great suspicion about this character being a bit evil and wanting to be the world dictator. I'm not even kidding. Naysayers and political rivals and such seem to be disappearing and, being discredited, or just outright being murdered whenever they do not agree with him. So there's kind of an issue. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of, hardcore, definite, for sure he's evil. It's more people having feelings and just the vibe from the character. Saying, he's not a good guy, so don't trust him. Oh yeah, and I forgot one more thing. He actually looks like Patrick Troughton, because he is played by Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor. Now, really quick, I just want to say, this was a cool, interesting arc, but they have done this bit before. Because with Hartnell, they had another Catholic priest in the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve back in Season 3. And I think this is a cool, interesting concept. Because we get to see Troughton, playing Salamander, in a conference, a video thing, and then we have Troughton as the Doctor trying to, emulate the characteristics of a salamander, because they obviously want him to pose as salamander to do some things. I'm not going to spoil anything, but this was definitely a very enjoyable arc. I really liked it. I think the idea of doppelgangers is cool and worth checking out. And also because this kind of came up in talking with friends. How do I see my Doctor Who episodes? Honestly, I just Google Doctor Who, the name of the arc, episode, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of stuff is on, I believe it's Daily Motion, or Doctor Who Recons, on YouTube or Daily Motion. Just basically Google things and you'll find them. Or you can go to the BBC store and you can buy some of the different seasons and arcs and such if you're interested in that route. I'm not really rich, so I'm going to go with Google for now. Pirating is bad, just saying. But I don't have a defense, actually, at that point. But definitely, if you're interested in old school Doctor Who, definitely the Enemy of the World is another good arc to check out. Just like I said, the Ice Warriors was, and yeah. And just another quick thing, I'm noting, it feels like the production is definitely going up. There's definitely a noticeable difference between Season 1 and Season 5. They have more budget for, background music and an orchestra, and it's cool, and I'm enjoying it, and having watched from the beginning, it's cool just noting the differences. And noting some things that they keep, doing, like I said, the doppelganger idea. So, whatever that's worth to you. If you're interested in old school Doctor Who, the Enemy of the World for the second Doctor definitely gets my approval. Hey everyone, and welcome to The Web of Fear. The next arc in the Doctor Who Season 5 saga. Really quick, before I start talking about this, I want to preface that this is kind of a companion arc to the Abominable Snowmen. Basically, this takes place sometime on Earth after the events of the Abominable Snowmen, and it has a few characters from there. And, of course, the villain, the Great Intelligence, as well as the Yetis. So, bear that in mind. So, what is the plot of the Web of Fear? Well, basically, the short answer to that is, the Doctor and crew are traveling in the TARDIS, as usual, when suddenly a light on the console lights up, basically saying, hey, we've landed somewhere. But they look through the visual scanner, I think it is. Whatever, and basically, it's still space outside. And the Doctor is able to determine that somehow they've been caught up in some kind of weird webbing. Eventually, they are allowed to move around freely again, and for some reason end up in the subway tunnels of London, where, unfortunately, the Abominable Snowmen are, the Yetis are, as well as this strange webbing that caught them originally. And they are apparently, and they run into a group of military personnel trying to combat, the Yetis, the fungus webbing, and ultimately the Great Intelligence. And it's a good, interesting arc, because one of the big things that comes up is, who can you trust ultimately within this arc? Because there are certain allusions to, it's interesting, how the Yetis know where we are or what we're doing, and it's very tense at times, I would say. And, with different characters popping in and out, it makes you wonder and question a lot of things, and I really enjoyed it. So definitely, I would recommend this arc. Also, interesting side note, for those of you who are classic Doctor Who fans, this is the first appearance of Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. I forget exactly what he does, but I believe he's more prevalent with the third Doctor as well. But if you're looking for where Stewart got his start with series, here it is. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this arc. It was good. It felt like another, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but kind of like some of the other arcs felt like, 1950s B monster movies. Basically it's a group of people trying to fight off, different creatures that are creepy or scary or whatever. And this had some elements of that, and I'm kind of liking that. And honestly, it's making me want to dub, season 5, the the season of the B movie, because some of it fits. Although honestly, I feel like it's less campy and a bit more serious, definitely, and very enjoyable nonetheless. So if you are interested in season 5, The Web of Fear, check it out. You'll see Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. You'll see Yetis, fungus, other crazy stuff. And you'll have a good bit of mystery on, who you can and cannot trust. And again, also really quick, this is a companion piece to The Abominable Snowmen. So it's not necessary to watch The Abominable Snowmen first. Basically you deal with, oh hey, we have the Yetis again. We have Travers, the explorer, whatever guy from that arc. And those are pretty much it. They don't dwell too much on like, oh hey, like you should remember this or whatever, but they do say, oh hey, I remember seeing you 40 years ago and you haven't aged a day. So just bear that in mind if you're watching the classic stuff and you want to see it. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. Oh, and really quick, kind of related to all of this, but once I get done with season 5, I plan on uploading all of these, mini vlogs about each arc onto my YouTube page. That way they aren't lost to time, because I haven't really found a way to set all these into an album within my Facebook. And also there might be people who only see my YouTube. And also another quick thing about YouTube. I've apparently hit 51 subscribers. That is up from it was, I think, 48. So I hit the 50 goal, finally, after several years of trying. And that's cool. Thank you for watching. Hey everyone, and welcome to Fury from the Deep, the 6th Doctor Who arc for Season 5. Really quick, the Doctor and crew, which is Jamie and Victoria at this point, end up near the North Sea, close to a gas rig, which is basically pulling gas from the Earth or the ocean, something. I'm not a gas engineer, so I don't know. But basically, they end up, on a beach. They come across some weird sea foam and seaweed, and unfortunately, this seaweed and foam seems to be doing something to the people that come into contact with it. Some of the staff on the rig, have touched the seaweed, felt a sting in their hand, and suddenly they fall very ill. Other people seem to be acting very strangely, as if, they're under some influence, mind control, because of the seaweed or the sea foam. And it's up to the Doctor and crew to figure out a way to stop this from spreading, because otherwise, the sea foam and seaweed could essentially just do terrible things. Unfortunately for this arc, I didn't care for it as much, and really quick, this is one of the arcs that was unfortunately lost to time, and looking ahead, I've only got 2 more that are lost to time. The Wheel in Space, which is the next arc, and the Space Pirates, which is toward the end of Season 6. And just in general, the whole mind control thing and the seaweed, it didn't grab me. It felt like, oh hey, we're dealing with the Great Intelligence again, because it has mind control, and da-da-da, and or the Cybermats and the Cybermen. Like, it said last time, this is pretty much the arc of B-movie monsters, and yeah, there's been some fine, entertaining stuff, but this arc I didn't care for it. However, there are some things that are cool / noteworthy that I want to bring up. Number 1, they actually introduced the concept of the sonic screwdriver. Basically, the Doctor and Jamie and Victoria are out near one of the pipes. The Doctor hears something, so he whips out his sonic screwdriver, and just checks it. It's not like a big grand moment. It's just a, I need to check this out. Quickly pulls out a tool. That was it. That's an interesting little fact for you. So, it was established before it became a big deal. The second thing is Victoria unfortunately leaves the group at this point. Well, at the end of this arc. Basically, for those of you who may not remember, She was originally from the 1880s, I believe, and was kind of forced to join the Doctor and crew, traveling in the TARDIS to different time periods. And after 5 to 6 adventures of constant danger and peril and threats to her life, she opted to stay behind, and I can totally understand and appreciate that. Because really quick, I looked at this and I analyzed it myself. We've got the Evil of the Daleks, where she's held captive. We've got the Tomb of the Cybermen, the first adventure, so she kind of gets a feel for, okay, this is like some dangerous, crazy stuff, but maybe it's not always like this. The abominable snowmen, you're up in the Tibetan mountains, dealing with yetis and monsters, it's like, okay, this is a bit more dangerous than I would expect. The Ice Warrior, she's captured again. The Enemy of the World. Kind of didn't have a choice there in staying. And finally, the Web of Fear, where they just dealt with, the Great Intelligence again, and it doesn't seem like a very safe place. But finally, with Fury from the Deep, she's at this research institute. They made some friends there, so she can potentially, have a life and belong somewhere. And I can totally appreciate that. My only gripe with this is, it doesn't really come up until about episode 3 or so of this 6-episode arc. We didn't have before, oh no, it's so dangerous and the concerns before, but now we do. So, you could say, it's kind of tacked on to write her character out, because for whatever reason, Deborah Watling didn't want to take part. I don't know. I have to do the research, and I'll get back to you when I get done with season 5. But, yeah. So, unfortunately, in my opinion, Fury from the Deep, if it didn't have, the drama with Victoria leaving, and having the nice scene with Jamie and the Doctor before they depart, I would honestly say skip it. However, if you're not invested in the characters and companions, honestly, unfortunately, I have to say, you don't really have much reason to watch it. But I feel like if you're a big fan, you would, because she started with Evil of the Daleks, and this kind of wraps up her story. I don't know, just my opinion. But yeah. And also really quick, 200 episodes, because I don't think that's clear. Yeah. I did my research. Apparently there are 695 classic era episodes, spread across the 7 Doctors. Because 8 is in the movie, War Doctors, Day of the Doctor, and then 9 and so on is the modern era. Hey everyone, and welcome to the final arc for season 5, The Wheel in Space. Cool. So, first off, what is the initial story for The Wheel in Space? Well, the Doctor and Jamie, are traveling along in the TARDIS, when suddenly there seems to be some kind of strange malfunction within the TARDIS, and things are going a bit haywire and crazy, so they have to quickly get out. Luckily, the TARDIS has landed at this point, and is on some spaceship, some rocket ship. So Jamie and the Doctor board the ship, to try and figure things out and see what's going on. When they try to search the ship for things to help fix what is broken within the TARDIS, they see that they're approaching a large space station known as the Wheel in Space. So the Doctor and Jamie, do their best to get in contact with them and get aboard the giant space station so that they can, hopefully get some help, get their bearings, and all that. Because unfortunately, the rocket ship they ended up on does not have the necessary equipment for them to fix the TARDIS. But unfortunately, they were not aware that they had some stowaways aboard the ship themselves. Because as they're exploring the ship, they find that there's nobody around. And later on we learn that this was a supply ship that had been missing for at least 9 weeks. And it drifted, it's either 80,000 or 80 million miles off course. from reaching another station and resupplying them with some stuff to end up here. And, long story short, the Cybermen are once again on the prowl looking to take over the wheel in space and hopefully, and their plan, as it usually seems to be, is, come down to Earth and use up basically all the minerals and resources that we have on the planet, because their planet Mondus, it blew up in the 1980s. If you remember the 10th planet. Yeah, 10th planet. That's what it was. Sorry. But good things I liked about this arc. We get a new companion, Zoe, which I only know about because of the Doctor Who episode guide, like it lists companions, places, etc. So I knew to at least keep an eye on this character whenever I heard the name Zoe come up. And I want to say I really like her as a person. Basically, she is an astrophysicist with a major in pure math, which I have no idea what that means. But basically, she's trained to work on a space station, and knows a lot of theory. But when it comes to emergency situations and putting things into practice, she's not as capable, unfortunately. Which would kind of explain some of her interest in joining up with Dr. Jamie, interacting with these two characters, favorably, as well as just some of the interesting stuff that comes along with that. One of the other things was they had some excellent cliffhangers in the beginning of this. Like, toward the end of, I think it's the second episode or so, they're talking about blowing up the rocket ship that the TARDIS was on because they have concerns that there's some kind of radiation or contamination on the ship. Thanks to the actions of Jamie, that is averted, but still, it's just crazy stuff. Other than that, like, the story of dealing with the Cybermen and such, it's pretty much just the same old thing. Oh, hey, they start taking over people and they're trying to take over the station. And they have to deal with that. It's whatever. So, the arc itself, it has some good suspense in the beginning, but as it wears on, it's not as great in my opinion. But I'd say worth a watch just to meet Zoe, see some of the cool character interactions, and yeah. And then again, quick spoilers for the end. As I said, Zoe is the new companion, and she kind of stows away with the Doctor and Jamie, hiding in a trunk. And the Doctor is like, okay, Zoe, you may come with us, but I would like to show you something so that, we can be sure you're not going to change your mind, because the TARDIS at this point is kind of a one-way trip. Basically wherever it wants to go. So, he puts on this little, helmet thing to, activate a screen showing him some of his memories. And basically it just shows some clips from, The Evil of the Daleks. Basically a Dalek just killing some random dude. I can't remember all the guys' names, but basically that. So, yeah. And I just thought that was, a cool thing we haven't seen before, so it's probably just going to be a one-off thing, but still, at least acknowledging, the issue that we had with Victoria in the end was, oh my god, it's so dangerous here, I don't want to get caught up in this and potentially get killed, and that's cool. And also, nice bit of foreshadowing for, hey, maybe we're going to have more Daleks in the future, I don't know, because this season was devoid of them. So, overall, I would say The Wheel in Space is worth looking at. It's not really going to grow much of the story, but it was fun, interesting, it had some good suspense and drama, I felt. And now, with that, I can finally talk about Season 5 as a whole. It's cool because I can progress forward, but if you watch my Season 4 retrospective, it's a bit concerning. Really quick, this is just fictional stuff I'm talking about, but I have to play along with the bit. Which is that after Season 4, I wasn't quite feeling myself, if you know what I mean. Oh boy. So, that wraps up Season 5. It was a good season. it has ups and downs, you know, some new companions, and yeah, I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to talk about it. So until then, everyone, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and remember, every arc is a story. So, till next time, everyone, peace.